Story 1. Got a full ride to Harvard, did an internship his first summer at Intel, and was killed by a drunk driver a few weeks after arriving in California. Couldn't believe it when it happened 25 years ago. Still can't really believe it. Story 2. The smartest kid in my school was really popular, and he was one of my closest friends. But when he graduated, he left everyone and everything behind, including his family. He even changed his name. I found out this little bit of information because a friend went to an academic conference and showed me a group photo, and he was in it. I exclaimed, "That's my friend Pascal." He kept his first name, but his last name was an anagram of his original name. Story 3. There are two. I remember one of them crying when they got an A- on a test in like 7th grade. One of them, the one who cried, is an executive in a Fortune 500 company. Nothing special, but making a lot of money. The other one is a brain surgeon. Story 4. After never even having smoked a cigarette or drank alcohol in high school, straight A's all the way through, he got a full ride to a really good university. As a freshman, he dropped acid, walked out in front of a car, and was killed. Sort of reminds me of a college friend. He was straight, no drugs or alcohol. I think he even stayed away from caffeine. Said addiction ran in his family, so it made sense. Decided though that immediately after graduation he wanted a huge party and had his first taste of alcohol. Got insanely trashed, but survived for about 20 years. He died of liver failure due to severe alcoholism at the age of 41. I hate that I remember where he was when it started, but what did we know? Story 5. He went to MIT, works for Apple, and has a very expensive home in California. He also has a wife and 4 kids and seems to be very happy. I remember he was programming games in high school and was valedictorian. A big nerd who became a wealthy big nerd. Story 6. Went to a big college, got a degree in tech, now makes 6 figures and owns a townhouse outside of Baltimore. He lives with his grandmother mainly, smokes a shitload of weed, flies a girl from Colorado to f***ing smoke with. I married his sister. Story 7. Dropped out of college to marry and support the much younger woman he got pregnant. Now, 30 years later, owns a board game store with a large back room for miniature painting and games and plays dad to half the neurodivergent kids in town. Still married to the same woman too. It's not a high-flying life, but he makes a difference to so many people. To make you all feel better, he was 23, I think, and she was 18. A big age gap when you're young. It was also in the Netherlands, where at least at the time, I've been gone a while, we didn't really care so much as long as it wasn't a 10-year difference or one of them was under 15. Teenagers have drives. It happens. Story 8. Had a full ride through Berkeley. Ended up experimenting a lot with hallucinogens. Started to believe he was a star child or starseed and was from another planet. Ended up starving himself in a national park to die with the Earth so he could meet other star children. F***ing miss and love you, buddy. Story 9. Unfortunately, the smartest kid in my class in middle school ended his life in 8th grade. He was also a brilliant violinist. I was his stand partner in the orchestra. I was proud to be his brother's stand partner in high school. Rest in peace, Connor. Story 10. When I was in middle school, we had a super smart kid join later on in the semester that was always teased because he was above everyone else mentally. I think in 8th grade he was doing 10th or 11th grade mathematics. Any test that he took, he passed with flying colors. Hardly even studied. He befriended me. I was kind of quiet in middle school because of stuff going on at home. His mom always made me an extra sandwich whenever she made his lunch. I lost contact after graduation, but a few years later when I was a sophomore in college, I decided to look him up on Facebook and couldn't believe what I saw. There was my friend, the Brainiac, smoking out of a huge bong as his profile picture. I think he had to take it down because when I looked him up again, he had pics of him drinking out of a funnel. Story 11. The smartest kids I knew in school turned to alcohol and doing really dumb shit. Maybe not all, but quite a few. The bullies didn't amount to anything either. The mediocre ones in the middle were the ones that had successful careers and normal lives. My bullies became cops. No joke. Of the 3 people I knew from high school who eventually became cops, all of them were bullies. Only one of them really bullied me, and it was only for a little while until I confronted him in front of some of our mutual friends and asked him why he was being a dick and what had I ever done to him. Then he laid off me, but he was still a bully to other people. Dude had rage issues too, and the reason he started f***ing with me was because I refused to follow his orders. When I found out he was a cop a couple of decades later, I was just like, holy crap, I'd hate to ever get pulled over by him. He acted like one of those cops you see foaming at the mouth, screaming in people's faces for refusing to let him shit on their rights before he even had any official authority. Can't imagine what he turned into once he got some. Story 12. That was me, valedictorian of my high school, voted brainiest by my peers for the school yearbook, highest university entrance grades of my school, quintessential nerd. I went into chemical engineering because that was the degree brainy kids pursued. I was okay at the job, but never great. Bounced around across 5 different manufacturing companies, mostly in entry-level positions or close to it. Had some mild successes, got a few promotions, got made redundant a lot. Finally secured a management position after 10 years, and realized I absolutely hated every aspect of the job. Did a lot of soul-searching. It really was a massive shock to my system that I had failed at something that was meant to be for the smart people. Took a lot more for me to redefine my identity without being smart at the heart of it. These days, I teach chemistry at the local high school. I absolutely love it. Kind of regret that I turned my nose up for years because I was too smart to be a teacher. But I can't change the past, so all that's left to do is learn from it. Story 13. Died in a car accident sophomore year. I loved her. First person I felt those feelings for. I could remember the first time I saw her in kindergarten. We also learned to golf together my freshman year. It was tragic because she had so much potential and died overachieving, trying to get to school early for jazz band practice. It was snowing and school hadn't been delayed or canceled yet, as our superintendent liked to always wait until the last minute. She hit a slick spot and collided with a semi. Story 14. He was an idealist, became a priest and served in the Vatican, became disillusioned and left the church. Got 2 master's degrees and died by his own hand. He was a truly good person who couldn't marry his ideals with the reality of the church. Story 15. She got a PhD in neuroscience from Stanford, and I think she's a professor or associate professor somewhere now. She was probably the sweetest girl I'd ever met. I was an intelligent underachiever, and I ended up in a few AP courses with her because our teacher saw my test scores and refused to continue to let me do dip things with my dip friends. She was always super proud of me when I actually showed up and put some effort in, and lo and behold, got excellent marks. Honestly, she really turned around the last 2 years of high school for me. Also, she's wicked hot now. A hot genius. Story 16. He spent years researching how to cloak himself like the Predator from the 1987 film with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He got surprisingly far before he ended up getting a top-secret government job. Haven't heard from him since. Maybe he's a secret agent. Maybe he actually became the Predator? No one knows. Story 17. From one school, he was razzed, not quite bullied, because he wanted to be a truck driver. He later graduated as valedictorian from our local VOCTEC school, got an associate's degree in diesel mechanics, did that for a few years, and later went back to the community college and has taught it since the late 1980s. He would have been a drastic failure as, say, a doctor or a lawyer. From another school, she and her husband are probably sovereign citizens. I sure wish I was making that up. Story 18. She married a religious fruitcake 12 years older than she was almost immediately after graduation and started pumping out kids. Never went to college. Has never had a job. Spends her days on Facebook shaming people for being sinners. Story 19. He did his undergraduate degree and couldn't afford a master's, so he ended up working in offices for 15 years where he had to hide his intelligence around his coworkers. Finally founded his own company and is now in politics where he can be the smartest person in the room and people will respect it. Good guy, just way above most people's level of intelligence, and has had to hide it most of his life. Story 20. Went to college for mathematics as one of the most promising young minds in the Midwest. Was in college for a year before switching to study Spanish. Dropped out a year later. Currently works at GameStop 20 minutes from his parents' house, where he lives. He was a good friend of mine, but I recently learned that he considered me his best friend. It's such a shame that his intelligence is going to waste. He is literally so smart and has such a talent for math, but he seems content with his life. Who am I to judge? As long as he's happy, hell, as long as he's alive, it's not a waste. People with intelligence aren't obligated to go off and be rocket scientists or millionaires, or else be considered a waste, you know? Working at GameStop is perfectly respectable, for him or anyone else. I know you likely didn't mean that unkindly, but I feel obligated to say this for all the people out there who feel afraid that what they do is considered a waste. They hear it and fear it too often. Story 21. I was one of those. I got my BA and then dropped out of grad school. Now I make $18K in a developing country, and I'm reasonably happy with my life after about 7 years of on and off suicidal depression. Story 2. He was drafted in the 7th round by the St. Louis Cardinals and was getting his master's in biomed at 21 to 22. Played a few years in lower ball after signing around a $250,000 signing bonus. Now he's a nuclear medicine doctor. Story 23. That was me. I'm now a stay-at-home dad of 4 wonderful kids and in a loving 16-year marriage. My wife is my best friend. While I may not have reached my full potential academically, I'm happy. Very happy. I realized that life is too short to care about anything other than living my life the way that I want to, not the way that I'm expected to. Story 24. He got someone pregnant immediately out of high school, so he decided not to go to the Ivy League school he had a full scholarship to and stay at home to be a dad. He got his associates at the local community college and is now a science teacher at the same high school he graduated from. I talk to him every once in a while when I'm down there to visit my parents. He's always asking about my job because he wanted to be a software engineer when he graduated high school, and the community college didn't even have regular computer classes, so he settled for some environmental science degree. Story 25. Overdose. Kid was valedictorian and probably the highest person at our school at any given moment, and that's saying something considering the town we were in. Sad as fuck. R.I.P. Story 26. I'm late here, so no one will bother to read, but I'll look back on this one fondly. He went on to ace the board exam, twice in 2 different fields. I couldn't be prouder. Most importantly, he became my boyfriend and changed many perspectives I had in life. I'd have never lived up to this day were it not for him, and I hope I did and still do my best to care for him the same. It wasn't always a shiny day. He had very depressive episodes, with lots of doubts and being forced to face heavy pressure. We had a toxic relationship in between, and a lot of things weren't healthy at all. I even projected a lot of insecurities, especially being with this very intelligent person compared to my inferior self. Imagine hormones and adulting mixing up. Wow. Fortunately, we are in a so much better state right now. Man, was it a journey. We changed and developed as our own individuals, with lots of moments shared together. I'm lucky to have him. I don't care if he's smart or whatever. He's funny and is able to listen to me rant about whatever favorite thing I have for the day. He's not a cat person, but damn, I'm trying to convert him through the cat subreddits here, and I'll be here for him. Story 27. All the pressure made me have a mental breakdown in college. I was diagnosed with many illnesses mentally. Finished my first round with a 3.98. Got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Fucked my body and memory so bad, I had to quit my job working at our doctor's office. Developed severe myofascial pelvic pain syndrome. I lost everything, including my husband. He cheated and left because not working made me not part of the team. I wish I put more effort into experiences rather than education, as now I'm disabled, and it all feels pointless and worthless as I'm in debt I can't work out of. Story 28. She became a model, stripper, and OnlyFans girl, voted as most likely to succeed with great expectations for her future. God bless the private education system. She spoke of going into politics and law. The modeling must pay better. Either way, gal is making some serious money. Story 29. He went from the smartest dude to the most hurt one. A couple of kids envied his skills and whooped his ass into a coma. After that, he downward spiraled to the abyss and found drugs. Now he's trying to hold it together while working in a bowling alley. Kids are savages. Story 30. Dude signed a multi-million-dollar offer for an engineer at Comptroller who sent him to Europe where he traveled, added to his funds, became friends with a pop idol in Korea, came back here and left again to go be Zaphod Beeblebrox. Guy farted clouds of luck and charisma. Winner, and a genuinely kind man. Story 31. I was one of 19 valedictorians in my class of about 520. No weighted grades, so we all had 4.0 GPA. I got a Bachelor of Science degree at a state university, magna cum laude. Worked lab tech jobs, worked for the Forest Service, moved overseas, earned a master's, and now I'm a park ranger. Doing well academically in high school and college really burnt me out. Now I get to work outdoors, and I'm pretty happy. I still have regrets, and I think about what I could have been, but I try not to let it get to me. No clue what the other 18 valedictorians are up to. Story 32. Smartest 2 people in my year are successful engineers who are smart enough to work hard but also enjoy life. Like me, they're weebs, love socializing, and we catch up regularly, be it in person or online to play a few games. It's a simple but happy life. They are my best friends. Thought I'd put something a bit happier after reading the other comments. Story 33. I amounted to nothing. That's what most people would say looking at me. But the truth is, I am living a satisfying and happy life. No debt, because I chose not to go to college. A wonderful woman who is madly in love with me, and I enjoy my free time doing what I love. I'm happy. I'm not rich. I don't have a prestigious job or title, but I am legitimately satisfied with my life. I win. Story 34. I think she got a literature or education degree, and more recently, as we hit our 30s, she's had 2 kids. The grade below me is a bit more interesting. They had 2 really intelligent twins. One works in financial markets. I'm not sure what she does, don't want to say and be wrong. Her brother has had a truly meteoric rise in aerospace engineering. In 5 years, he went from a graduate and an entry-level position writing build manuals, I think, to a project manager for the design of a manned and unmanned, my understanding is that there are variants, space vehicles. He got his pilot's license while in college, and has started back at flight school to get his instrument rating. He's musically gifted as well. In fact, I've known him for 11 years at this point, and I'm not sure I've ever seen him perform poorly at something he set his mind to. Quite the contrary. He's someone who sets a 5-year goal, meets it in a year or less, then sets an even more outlandish 5-year goal, and meets that too.